In this video, I want to talk to you about a functionality in Workstation of VMware's that you may not even know it's there. A lot of people don't realize what you can do with this, and this is really powerful. And it's a functionality called Workstation Server. Now, this is a service that runs on your host system, be it Linux or Windows, and it's installed on your Workstation host system by default. When you installed Workstation, this functionality is enabled by default. It's already there. You just have to use it. And what it does is it gives you the ability to share a virtual machine and provide remote access to other VMware users. Now, remote users can connect to your Workstation server, and when they do, they're going to be passing the data back and forth over HTTPS over port 443. Now, if you know what HTTPS is, we're really talking about secure socket layer encryption. Port 443 is the port that's used in the TCP/IP protocol to pass it. Now, you can change that port number, and I'll show you how in just a couple of minutes here. Now, sharing and remote access can be controlled. You can set up permission, and there are roles out there. I'm not going to go into that in this course. You need to set that up specific for your environment, and you need to play with it, test it, and make sure it's doing what you want it to do. Now, you can work with these virtual machines, these preferences on Workstation Server out in the Workstation 8 integrated environment. And so what I want to do now is jump out there and show you what you can do with these virtual machines at the Workstation level. And so here we are in Workstation, and notice that if I go to Edit Preferences and then just go to Shared VMs, notice I can disable sharing just by clicking right here. Now let me show you what's really going on here. If I go out here and type Services, then I can go to the Services panel. And if I scroll all the way down, you will see VMware, and let me make this a little bigger. There's the VMware Workstation Server service. Notice that it's started. I could stop the service if I want. I'm going to close this now. If I click Disable Sharing right here, it will stop the service, okay? But if I disable sharing, then I can change the HTTP port. So if you want to run the different port here, you can do that, and then I can change the location of my shared machines. We'll talk about what this is about just a little later on. So let's jump back out and continue our conversation. So next up, let's talk about the fact that Server generates a self-signed certificate to provide the encryption of the data as it moves back and forth between the remote user and the virtual machine. Now, the certificate is self-signed, meaning it doesn't really prove identity. It's the same as me calling you up on the phone and say, hey, my name's Mark Long, and I know you don't know me, but I swear my name's Mark Long, so you can trust me. No, you can't. And so to trust that certificate, you need to go purchase a commercial certificate, authority certificate, and apply it. You can see how to do that in the documentation, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Now, Workstation Server writes messages in log files, because if you've ever worked with remote access to anything, you know there's only about 46.3 billion things that can go wrong. So you can look in these log files for troubleshooting situations that you might find yourself in, and the location of these log files depend on the operating system you're running. Now, most Windows hosts will store these log files in the on the C drive, Documents and Settings, All Users, Application Data, VMware, Hosted, and then Hosted, and you'll see a number and a log. Vista and Windows 7 store them in this location. I won't read it to you. You can read that yourself. And then Linux hosts will store the logs in this location. So if you're ever working with Workstation Server and it's just doing bizarre stuff and you're not sure, go check those logs out. A lot of times it will record error messages and so forth there that you can jump out on the internet then and into the forums on VMware's website and start to find some problems. But so right now, for the sake of this video, just to understand that Workstation Server is already there. It's running. If you don't want it, turn it off. But you can share your virtual machines and let other people connect to them from other Workstation installations and work with those virtual machines. Pretty cool stuff. And I'll kind of show you kind of a homemade version of this and a demonstration in a separate video.